In this video, I will be playing through Pokemon Fire Red using only one Dewgong. While not the strongest Pokemon in the game, Dewgong is still pretty good, having a high health stat paired with good defenses. In addition to this, it has a solid ability in Thick Fat, turning its neutrality to fire into a resistance and giving it a 6 times resistance to ice type attacks. However, a special attack stat of 70 isn't that great, although it should be good enough to get the kills it needs to when paired with strong stab moves such as Surf and Ice Beam. Overall, I'm pretty confident that I can complete this challenge, as it really ends up being more of a question of how many levels I'll have to grind to get past potentially difficult fights, such as Lieutenant Surge's electric types or Bruno's fighting types. With this information out of the way, we can now move into the run itself. First, I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer in order to make my starter Pokemon into a Seal. That way, I can use it for the entire run. I'm not really sure which starter Pokemon would give my rival the strongest matchup versus me, as I am seeking for the best challenge I can get. So I decided to end up replacing Bulbasaur, giving my rival a Charmander. While Charizard is obviously weak to water type moves, its fire type moves will still hurt me a lot. And the other options, such as giving him a Venusaur, would still just make me be able to one-shot him with Ice Beam anyway, so I don't know, it's kind of a tough call. Anyways, my Seal ends up being a timid nature, which is probably one of the best natures it could ever have. Timid raises the speed stat of Seal while lowering its physical attack stat, which I would never be using anyway, since Seal is a special attacker. However, the problem with my Seal currently is that its only move even is Headbutt, which for the Brock fight, being a rock type gym leader, is really bad. In fact, I won't even be learning a new attacking move until level 17, when Seal learns Icy Wind. Unfortunately, after failing to even defeat the trainer in Brock's gym time and time again, I realized and decided that I'll need Icy Wind in order to have any chance in this fight. Luckily, learning the move does basically just give me a free win over Brock, completely destroying the Geodudes and the Onix due to my higher level and its super effective typing against them. With Brock out of the way, it's time to move on to the next fights. Next up is Nugget Bridge in Cerulean City, which holds the first rival fight of the game. First, his Pidgeotto gets off a few sand attacks before it goes down to an Aurora Beam, lowering my accuracy. However, even with this, it's still a clean sweep after this with Aurora Beam and Headbutt. Next up is Misty, the water type gym leader. This fight is pretty easy, it's just a clean sweep with Headbutt and we win the fight. After this, we go through Nugget Bridge leading us up to Bill's house. After watching him do some questionable things, we can rescue Bill and get the SS ticket, allowing us onto the SS Ann. The SS Ann has some pretty good TMs on it as well as the HM Cut. However, Seal doesn't actually learn any of these moves. Additionally, the Ann has the second rival fight of the game. This fight goes even better than the first one due to no sand attacks connecting onto our Seal, and our new move thanks to Misty's gym, Water Pulse, one-shotting the Charmeleon. With the fight won, we can now get the HM Cut, allowing us to go on to Rock Tunnel. First though, we fight the electric type gym leader, Lieutenant Surge. This fight was something I was very concerned about due to the electric type matchup against Seal being awful due to its water typing. However, because of Seal's very high level for this point in the game, it completely destroys all of Surge's Pokemon, especially Raichu with a lucky crit. With another win under our belts, we can move on to the grass type gym leader, Erica. Before we do get into that though, during some fighting in Diglett Tunnel, Seal actually evolves into Dewgong, giving us a pretty good power boost for the Erica fight. While on the surface, Erica is a pretty solid matchup versus me due to my water type Dewgong being weak to her grass type attacks. I'm also an ice type now, having my Stab Aurora being able to do tremendous damage to her and her Pokemon. With everything basically getting one shot except for the Vileplume, the fight was pretty easy, despite the Vileplume stun sporing me and prolonging it. However, even with the stun spore buying the Vileplume a few extra turns, the fight does end pretty swiftly afterwards, allowing us to get our 4th badge of this run. With Vileplume vanquished, we can move on to the first real Team Rocket fight of the game, being the first Giovanni fight. Fortunately for us, Giovanni is a ground type trainer, meaning that Dewgong is more than capable of cleaving through all of his Pokemon. His only option that I can't take out in one hit is his Kangaskhan, which tries fighting back with a bite but doesn't do much damage. A few water pulses take it out. At the top floor of Silphco, we can now fight Giovanni for the second time. Just like before, the fight goes quite smoothly, as we dodge some Poison Sting poisons and knock out each of his Pokemon with just 2 Ice Beams. We do get Lucky Freeze on the Kangaskhan, but our health bar was too high for anything to happen even without it. With Team Rocket defeated, Saffron Gym opens up, allowing us to fight with Sabrina. She leads off with Kadabra, which lives a Water Pulse and responds with Reflect. We only use special attacks though, so this does nothing. Another Water Pulse takes it out. The Mr. Mime also lives a Water Pulse and responds with Barrier, another physical defense increasing move. Honestly, I have no idea what Sabrina was thinking there. Another few Water Pulses and Ice Beams take it out after she uses a Hyper Potion. She then sends out a Venomoth that barely hangs on from an Ice Beam and then hits me with Psybeam for pitiful damage, allowing it to fall to another Ice Beam into Water Pulse. Finally, her Alakazam tries to outstall me with Calm Mind plus Recover, but Ice Beam is just too powerful for her, taking it out, winning us the fight. With Sabrina defeated, we now fight the Poison Leader, Koga. He leads off with Coughing, which falls to a single Ice Beam. His Muck is taken out by 2 Ice Beams, failing to dodge with Minimize. Another Coughing dies to 1 Surf, and a few Ice Beams take out the Wheezing, getting us the victory. If you thought that Koga was easy, you better prepare for Blaine. This is definitely the easiest fight in the entire game, as Dewgong outspeeds and one-shots all of his Pokemon. I might have to use a worse Pokemon for my next challenge. Funny enough, not only was the last gym a fire gym, but this one is ground. Giovanni's entire team gets one-shotted by Surf, making it just as easy as Blaine. Overall, this was certainly quite an anticlimactic end to the gym challenge. After beating Giovanni, we finally make it to our final rival fight of the game. However, this fight is pretty easy, although not as easy as those last 2 gym leaders. To begin with, he leads off with Pidgeot, which gets completely one-shotted by our Ice Beam. After Pidgeot, he sends in a Rhyhorn, which similarly to Giovanni's Rhyhorn, also gets one-shot by a Surf. He then sends in Execute, which, would you guess, gets one-shot by Ice Beam. At this point though, he finally does send a Pokemon that can live a hit, being Alakazam, which lives Surf, but all does Calm Mind, so it dies to another one. The Gyarados actually is able to live 2 Ice Beams, being pretty impressive by this point. However, all it does is Leer into Hydro Pump, which does no damage to us, and then dies to an Ice Beam. He then sends in Charizard, where I misclick Ice Beam as he clicks Scary Face, and then clicks Surf, finishing him off. And now we're going to be ready for the Elite Four. The Elite Four fight starts off with a mirror match, being Dewgong versus Dewgong. Unfortunately, versus Lorelei in general, I just don't do much damage to her Pokemon, considering that she basically resists all my attacks with all of her Pokemon. The big issue with this fight though is the amount of power points I'm going to have, because I'm using a lot in all these fights, and I only really have 2 attacks that can be consistent and do damage. Back to the fight though, Cloyster goes down pretty easily to some Surfs because of his low Spit Up. However, this Slowbro with his incredibly high Spit Up and Amnesia is really hard for me to kill. Eventually, after resting up myself to get my health back, because I'm not allowed to use items in battle, I finally take it out with an Ice Beam, but I've used so many power points now that things are looking bad. I now get to Jinx, which has an ability that makes it immune to water moves. Luckily, I still have some Sheer Pulse, which actually allow me to beat Lorelei, taking out Lapras and Jinx. Now that we're done with Lorelei, we can move on to Bruno. Bruno leads off with Onyx, which falls to 1 Surf, no problem really. Then she brings out Hitmonchan though, which hits me with a Rock Tomb, doing not much damage, however it does lower my speed stat. However, it does simply die in 2 Ice Beams, being pretty weak overall. Then comes out Hitmonlee, which has to get a Brick Break for almost all of my health, but I get a lucky crit taking it out in one hit. Maybe I can still win this fight. Next up, she sends out Machamp, which I'm honestly just assuming is going to kill me and end my run. However, I actually get an Ice Beam, freeze on it, and then it thaws out to a miss, saving my run. I then Ice Beam it again into a cross shot miss, making this fight incredibly lucky, finally finishing off with an Ice Beam. She then sends out another Onix, which dies to one Surf, and I actually beat Bruno with some of the most insane luck I've ever had in Pokemon. With Bruno defeated, we can finally sort of catch a break, by getting to fight a Ghost-type leader instead of someone good against us. For Agatha, we basically just click Surf and Ice Beam on all of her Pokemon. They all just go down into this. Even like when her second Gengar gets crit going down in one. I mean, this is probably the easiest Elite Four fight we're gonna get here, and it just goes very quickly. Finally, we get to fight the Elite Four member I thought would be the easiest, being the Dragon Trainer Lance. Lance starts with a Gyarados, which I don't have the best moves hit, so I just Surf it once to put it into range of 2 Ice Beams, and it goes down. Then he sends out Aerodactyl, which does heavy damage with Ancient Power, and I then kill with 2 Ice Beams. The Dragonairs both go down to 1 Ice Beam, which is pretty good, and the Dragonite does too, winning me the fight. Before we get into the champion fight, let's take a look at our power points real quick. My Dewgong only has 3 Ice Beams left, with no Surfs and 5 Sheer Colds. This is gonna be a tough fight. Well, without further ado, let's get into the final fight of the game. We start by Ice Beaming the Pidgeot, taking out in 1 hit, which is great. We have the same thing for his Rhydon and Executor, getting 3 one-shots, which is really as good as we can get. This means he has 3 Pokemon left, but my only attacking moves I have are 5 Sheer Colds, so we better hope we get lucky. We start by hitting the Alakazam, knocking it out in 1 Sheer Cold, which is great. But then we miss 2 versus Gyarados, bringing us down to 2 Sheer Colds left for 2 Pokemon. Can we do it? We finally hit a Sheer Cold on Gyarados, taking it out, meaning that all we have left for the final fight is 1 Pokemon left, his Charizard, with 1 Sheer Cold on Dewgong. And unbelievably, Dewgong pulls through, hitting this Sheer Cold, winning us the fight. That was really just something crazy. I can't believe I managed to win on those odds. And yeah, this run was really just like a casual thing, just as I like Dewgong, so I wanted to try it out in this, and I had a lot of fun with it. Anyways, I hope all of you guys enjoyed watching this, and you can check out some other videos that I've made in the past. Well, see you later, and goodbye.